Senator, any comparison between Britain and Australia, of course, is a bit misleading on these issues, isn't it? In the UK, we've got 42% of their electricity is renewables, 36% gas, and 16% comes from nuclear. In Australia, more than half our generation, even today, is from coal. It's like comparing apples and oranges. So why the lecture from Boris Johnson?
Well, you're absolutely right there, Peter, in expressing those differences. But I mean, I think it's also important to not just look at today, but also look at the past here as well. It's just a little bit hypocritical from the British Prime Minister to be telling others to not use coal when the United Kingdom has pretty much mined every ounce of that black rock off their island and helped them develop industrially over the years. This is the country that invented the Industrial Revolution, and you wouldn't have got the Industrial Revolution without coal. This is the country that invented coal-fired power stations. So if there's anyone to blame for these issues around global warming, it's squarely at the feet of the United Kingdom and Her Majesty's throne. Look, this is all self-serving here now, right? That we now have a country that doesn't need to use coal-fired power, telling other countries to not use it. Yet we will still see, I am sure, British consumers wanting to buy cars, wanting to live in apartment complexes made out of steel, and in fact buying consumer goods made in China. That is powered by coal largely, often Australian coal before all the bans, but still coal-fired power in China, building solar panels, washing machines, you name it, that's bought in your local JB Hi-Fi is made from coal-fired power.
Look, just quickly, the PM was on Radio Melbourne with Neil Mitchell and he was pushed on the issue of nuclear power. He's very supportive of nuclear power. But he made it clear that unless there's consensus, he's not going to touch it and he's not going to remove the prohibition on nuclear power in this country. Now, of course, Labor's moving further to the left. We see their position on Israel change, pro-Palestinian. We see their position on energy, no longer coal, no longer even gas. Why doesn't your government, the coalition, lead in this area? Why wait for Labor to catch up? Why not get out there and prosecute the case for nuclear energy?
Well, look, the position of Scott Morrison is really different from leaders of the last 20 years or so in Australia, that ever since we did ban nuclear power in the late 1990s, that was done under the Howard government in a deal with the Greens. But, I definitely pick up a mood shift here among the public. So I do think we could take stronger steps towards nuclear power. I mean, I don't think we're going to build a nuclear power station tomorrow, and I don't think we should because they are quite expensive. And I think the priority right now is to produce cheap power so I can bring back manufacturing jobs. But I reckon we should start doing the work here on this industry because it will take a long time to build a nuclear power station. And if we don't start preparing to make that choice in 5 or 10 years' time, when perhaps there is this consensus, when Australians perhaps do want to build a nuclear power station, well, we'll still have to wait another 10 or 15 years to get one. So let's start today. I think we should set up the skills, start doing the planning on where it would go. I reckon here in central Queensland, we'd welcome it down at Gladstone Industrial Centre. We'd welcome that kind of power. But look, really, we do need to start using our own natural resources, which we know work, which we know can provide affordability, like coal and gas. And whatever the Brits want to say to us, they want to take on a new white man's burden here and tell the rest of the world what they think should happen. Well, I think colonialism ended for a good reason. And I don't think we want to return to the world where the United Kingdom reckons they get to call the shots for everybody else.
Now, I agree with you on that. The bit of dissent inside the coalition, you've got some New South Wales MPs. We talked about Andrew Constance last night. Of course, the Treasurer there, Dominic Perrottet, is out today wanting the federal government to have a tax break on the table for Tesla cars. He wants the thresholds on the luxury car tax, which are levied at a Commonwealth level, moved. Now, you and I know to get a Land Cruiser, which is a safe car in a country area, you're well and truly paying the luxury car tax. Why hit people in country areas to have a four-wheel drive and cop the luxury car tax, but not these inner-city electric vehicle drivers? Because that's the New South Wales plan. Do you think Josh Frydenberg will cop it?
Well, I bloody well hope not, Peter. I hope Josh has more sense than that. Yes, some of our Liberal cousins don't quite understand what happens out here in the bush and how it goes, how a steak ends up on your plate. I'm here at Beef Week this week, and if you're in Rocky and you tell someone that your car is the white Land Cruiser in the car park, Yeah, that is like saying, your car's the black Tesla down in Bondi Beach. They're everywhere. Everyone's bloody got one because they're just the vehicle of choice for farming. And they do cost above this bracket. There is a luxury car tax applied when they're just a simple tool of business. So I would fight tooth and nail any proposal which would give a tax break for someone to run down in an electric car to get their latest protein bliss balls from the Magic Monkey Cafe in inner city Sydney, but not a tax break for a grazier who has to drive 50 k's or so to get some fence posts for his property and put food on your table. That would be completely inequitable. So if we're going to put these tax breaks on the table, it's got to be fair. We've got to treat our farmers fairly, and they should be going first.
Matt Canavan, before we go, what do you make of Malcolm Turnbull going out there and backing in an independent candidate, running against a coalition partner in the National Party in the New South Wales by-election for the Upper Hunter? Does that surprise you that he's gone out on a limb?
I feel I've got great sympathy for poor Kirsty. I mean, his kiss of death has just been applied here to her campaign. She's got no chance now. I mean, I was there in Singleton the other day walking down the shops and multiple people stopped me to tell me how angry they were at Malcolm Turnbull's comments around ending the coal industry. Their jobs relied on that. Their businesses in that shop relied on that industry, on the coal industry. So poor Christie here has been given the hospital pass by Malcolm. And you do have to start asking the question here, Peter. I think Malcolm's still a member of the Liberal Party, but I'm pretty sure it's against party rules to be endorsing other parties. Now, I think he might get away on a technicality here because the Liberals aren't running in this election; it's the Nationals. But if someone in your own party is going to start endorsing people who are competing against your own party, you'd have to call into question whether they would remain a member.